Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We are following breaking news from Minneapolis, where a judge has sentenced Derek Chauvin to 22.5 years in prison for the death of George Floyd. What his young daughter told the court moments before the ruling. Mara.
Kimberly, parents all over the metro are wanting to know what the fall semester is going to look like for their students. Well, tonight, the state of Michigan is issuing its guidelines.
But we're going to begin with the threat of severe storms heading into the night. Storm Tracker 4 all lit up in green. That's rain, folks, and it's going to stay that way for quite a while.
That's right. We want to get right over to Andrew off the top here at 5. And Andrew, we know the rain is going to stick around for a while, but what about this storm threat? That's really the worry.
Well, so far, Kimberly and Jason, we haven't seen much in the way of thunderstorms right now, but we're still looking at a line that may be setting up as we speak. We've got some light rain here in Detroit, but these pockets of yellow, orange, and red that you see lining up here from Washtenaw County, just to the west of Lenawee County, they are forming at least pockets of heavy rain. Now, lightning tracker is turned on. No lightning strikes, as you can see here in the lightning counter, but still, this area of heavy rain is going to move to the east at around 30 to 35 miles per hour. So places like Onstead, Hudson, and eventually Adrian will see some heavier shower activity within the next 15 to 30 minutes. Same thing here. We got a line of showers that are a bit heavier in the pockets of red right around Plymouth and Northville and just north of Pontiac. That'll move to the east across portions of Macomb County. In fact, northern Macomb County seeing some of that heavier rain right now right around Rochester Hills. But all of this is still yet to move through the area. But the threat of severe weather is still there. It's not a guarantee, but still a marginal to slight risk of it. So be on guard for at least some lightning, even some gusty winds before this evening is over. But does that die down later tonight? Any more showers or storms for this weekend? We'll talk more about that in your full weekend forecast in minutes. Now remember, you can stay on top of weather as well, just like we do right here at Local 4 with the Local Forecasters app. So download it now. It's great, especially if you're on the go since it is the weekend. Best of all, it's free. Search WDIV in your app store.
Okay, Andrew, now devastating new developments in the Florida condo collapse.
The number of people unaccounted for increased dramatically today. As of right now, 159 people are missing, with 4 people confirmed dead. Crews are now using sonar and trained dogs to go through the rubble, as searchers still have hope they will find survivors.
In Surfside, Florida, a painstaking and meticulous search. Rescue teams forming bucket brigades, moving the rubble of the collapsed condo buildings piece by piece as they search for the missing.
We're not giving up at all. We're full speed ahead.
As some sift through the top of the rubble, other crews are digging from below, looking and listening for signs of life. A surgeon on the rescue team says there is a chance people could be alive in the rubble.
No one has given up hope. We're just doing our job.
But as time passes, family members know the prospect of finding their loved ones alive is diminishing. PJ Rodriguez is waiting to hear about his mother and grandmother.
Hope just disintegrated at that point when we see the video showing the actual tower collapsing. We don't have official words, so I don't want to say it's completely hopeless, but after seeing the video, it's not a lot of hope.
As rescue efforts continue, focus intensifies on what caused this collapse.
We need a definitive explanation for how this could have happened.
Engineers will examine the building's concrete and steel foundation and look into reports the structure had been sinking into the ground for years as they try to explain the unfathomable and prevent something like this from ever happening again.
Florida's governor said he has spoken with President Biden and the FEMA administrator and says the state and federal governments will do whatever they can to help the families who've been affected by this condo collapse. Breaking news, Derek Chauvin will spend the next 22.5 years in prison for the murder of George Floyd.
Yeah, a judge handed down that sentence about an hour ago. Floyd's brothers gave emotional statements about why they wanted a harsh sentence, and then Chauvin directly addressed the family as well. Jay Gray is in Minneapolis as a chapter comes to a close in a case that sparked global outrage.
Good evening. You know, time has been a constant thread throughout this high-profile case. Today, that time defined by Derek Chauvin's sentence. 22 years, 6 months behind bars. It comes 2 months after he was convicted of murder and more than a year after he put his knee across George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes.
It would be, I miss you and I love you.
More than a year later, the emotion is still raw. George Floyd's family sharing their pain as they urge Judge Peter Cahill to hold nothing back as he sentences the man convicted of murder in Floyd's death.
I'm asking that you please find it suitable to give Officer Chauvin the maximum sentence possible. My family and I have been given a life sentence. We would never be able to get George back.
Prosecutors echoing their request, urging Judge Cahill to send a strong message with a sentence of 30 years.
This is the time for our criminal justice system to say, we hear you.
Derek Chauvin showing no emotion during the hearing, even as his mother opens the presentation for the defense.
My son is a good man.
Pleading for leniency.
Derek is a quiet, thoughtful, honorable, and selfless man.
His defense team arguing the former police officer's service and spotless criminal record, not public opinion, should influence how much time Chauvin spends behind bars. Chauvin then joining him at the podium, offering this cryptic message to Floyd's family.
There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest, and I hope things will give you some peace of mind.
Judge Cahill taking a brief recess before announcing Chauvin's fate.
The court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270.
The decision bringing at least a bit of relief for Floyd's family, but it does not, they say, mark the end of their fight for justice as they continue to make sure the world never forgets his name. Jay Gray.
That was Jay Gray reporting. In 270 months, obviously 22 and a half years. We've been getting reaction from local community and civic leaders to today's sentencing. We'll bring that to you ahead at 5:30. Kim?
The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has issued guidelines for what the next school year should look like. The 5 safety measures recommend but don't require masks for vaccinated students. Let's get to Mara McDonald. She's live tonight to help lay it all out for us. Mara?
Hi, Kimberly. And as a reminder, like you said, these are recommendations. They are not requirements. And a reminder to everybody, school districts so far, per the state, have been allowed to chart their own courses. Take a look. Looking forward to the fall semester, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is still recommending masks for students and staff, but it's also promoting vaccinations for everybody eligible in a school setting, and it is still recommending social distancing protocols. What is a change from what students dealt with last semester is the COVID testing protocols. No more mandatory COVID tests for athletes, and reminding students and staff to stay home if they're not feeling so hot and to get tested if they think COVID might be a possibility. The mask recommendation for the fall is already getting a lot of pushback from some education advocacy groups like the Great Lakes Education Project, which was founded by the DeVos family. Quote, Whitmer spent the last year telling our kids what they can do, when they can do it, and what they have to wear, without any scientific evidence to back her up. Now she wants to control kids into 2022. Parents have had enough. Back here live, is this guidance set in stone? No. Purely dependent on what happens with those COVID numbers. And just a reminder, these are recommendations. They are not requirements from the state. We're live downtown tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
All right, Mara. Now to today's coronavirus numbers, and it is a very positive development. 40 new cases in the past 24 hours, the lowest number since March. 50 new deaths are also reported over that same period.
And as of today, 61.4% of Michigan adults have received at least one vaccine dose. A 2-day effort by Detroit police to round up violent criminals is yielding some pretty impressive results.
Operation Restore Order, Enough is Enough, led to dozens of arrests, took some guns off the street. But is it making a real difference in the neighborhoods? Defender Sean Lay here with that perspective for us. Good evening, Sean.
And that's really the only perspective that matters right now. Some law enforcement experts saying what we saw the past 2 days off to a very good start. But we talked to a senior here on the west side who says it's going to take a lot more than that to make him feel safe. He does not want to become a victim of crime. In fact, he gives himself a time limit to leave his home. out by 10:30, back home no later than 3. We were there as Detroit police flooded Detroit's east side and west side the past 2 days, going after known and wanted bad actors to get them and their guns out of Detroit neighborhoods before they can fire those guns again. So far, a total of 33 felony arrests have been made, 19 illegal guns seized. But tonight, a key question: what has to happen now? This man is aware of all the violence. He's given himself safety hours to go out into the city at 10:30 in the morning, do what he has to do, then get inside by 3.
When you're my age, you want to get early into the home, your house.
You want to get early. You want to go home early.
Right.
Get inside.
Exactly.
The chief and the department is doing the right thing. They're getting the truly bad actors off the street, and that's important.
Former Detroit Police Chief Ike McKinnon tells us restore order is a start. But those officers that hit those crime spots need to stay. People need to see the police.
The visibility gives people confidence. The visibility of officers and the fact that they are doing these things that the chief has implemented right now will add some credence and credibility to what they are trying to do.
So a 2-day push by Detroit police, but we are told that Operation Restore Order will be continuing moving forward. Ike McKinnon then says, turn your direction now to mental health issues here on the street. He says that is key, and that is something that Chief White says he will definitely address. From the west side, Sean Lay, Local 4, back to you.
All right, Sean. UAW President Rory Gamble is retiring. The union's first black president announced today he's stepping down effective June 30th, a year earlier than planned. Gamble was named UAW president in June of 2018. During his tenure, Gamble guided the union through the aftermath of the ongoing corruption scandal and the pandemic. The executive board will select a successor.
The annual fireworks in downtown Mount Clemens have been postponed tonight due to weather. The event was set to return after a 1-year hiatus due to the pandemic. Officials say the fireworks will be rescheduled for a yet-to-be-determined later date.
Much more to get to on a Friday, including restaurant owners who were promised thousands of dollars to get back on their feet.
Ahead here at 5, why some are being told by the federal government that the check is no longer in the mail.
And vindication, why it took so long to free a Michigan man from prison for a crime he didn't commit. Hank.
Illegal dumpers moving in, causing chaos all over the city, but there is help for you. Help Me Hank and the city working to clean up different parts of Detroit. We'll show you the progress that's already been made coming up.